Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Chandler and the Wolf. My name is Kyle Chandler, joined alongside Wolfie Schultz. Wolfie, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing really well, Kyle. How are you?
We're living the dream, cranking out another podcast episode. Wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we got another good one in store for you guys here today. A lot to cover. We're just going to jump right into it. We're going to be talking some NFL to kick us off here. Week 18, the final ride, final roller coaster, whatever you want to call it. We got some good games this week, some good divisional opponents facing off against each other, and a couple of important battles playoff standings wise. And Wolf, let's just jump right into this here. We're going to give you the spreads and our picks for week 18, starting us off here with your hometown Broncos at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'll tell you what, Wolf, I actually went Denver plus 10 in this one.
Yeah,
I did. I really, I know the Chiefs are coming off a tough loss to the Bengals, but you got to remember they're on the road. Denver's defense has been stellar heading down the stretch, which is something that Kansas City has had on and off struggles with all season long. And I know the Broncos aren't really playing for anything at this point, but it's a divisional game, and I think they're going to keep it close. The divisional games always seem, especially heading down the stretch, they always seem to fare well for the audiences in terms of being a good game. And I think this one's going to be no different. I know the Broncos aren't really playing for anything, but they're not going to go down without a fight. They're not just going to go out there and lay an egg, and especially again against the divisional opponent. So I got Denver plus 10. Who do you got, Wolf?
I usually don't like to, bet it or say that my team's going to lose, but, I try to put out any biases that I have. And I did choose Kansas City minus 10.
Okay. Why?
I think Kansas City is just not going to, come in and try and pity the Broncos any. And, after a tough loss, I think they're going to, try and put themselves back on the map. Not back on the map, but, kind of make a statement and say, hey, like,
sure,
we might have lost to the Bengals, but, we still do what we do.
Wolf, I'll tell you what, I was looking at all these picks throughout this week, and there were some doozies, man. I'll tell you what, this was a tough week for sports gambling. And just to keep in mind, again, ladies and gentlemen, we're not actually placing bets on these. We're just doing the spreads for fun. I thought I should make that a point again. But yeah, there were some tough spreads throughout this week. And a lot of these games were kind of toss-ups for me. I could definitely see the Chiefs coming out and just dominating football like they always do. But I think so we're going to disagree on this one, starting off with a different matchup for each of us. But moving on now, let's head over to the Cowboys taking on the Eagles. And this one is in Philadelphia. I have Philly plus 7. And
yeah,
I know that might sound crazy to some people, the way Dallas has been playing. But yeah, I don't know. Parsons has been ruled out for this game for Dallas, and I think that is a big piece of their defense that they're going to miss. And we talked about it last week. Parsons is a stud player, potential defensive player of the year. And I know Dak, he's been doing really well, over 4,000 passing yards. But again, it's a divisional game. I think it's gonna be close. Dallas is on the road, and Philly's fighting. If I'm not mistaken, they're not out of the playoffs yet, are they?
No, I believe they've clinched. Yes, they have clinched the playoffs. So
they clinched the playoffs.
Yeah, and Cowboys have clinched their division. So
yes,
regardless of the outcome, both teams will end up in the playoffs. I believe if the Eagles were to win, that might move them up into the 6th seed rather than the 7th seed, is where they're sitting right now. But yeah, no, I picked Philly plus 7 here. I think it's going to be a close game, and Philly's been playing really well. And shout out to their head coach. He's been really putting on a clinic, really, and he's had the most wins of any of the coaches that were hired this season, being 9. You'd think Dan Campbell was the new coach this year.
Yep.
The Jets coach, I can't come up with his name, but he's a
and
new
then
coach this year.
And then the Giants too, right? Well, they fired
Joe Judge, correct?
Joe Judge, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, of those 3 teams there, you got probably 10 wins combined, maybe. And this
Hey, Urban Meyer too. Can't forget him.
yeah, he made that total a little bit larger.
He gave him 1 win.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think the Philly head coach should definitely be a name to be mentioned for Coach of the Year in the NFL this year.
A lot of people have mentioned him for Coach of the Year, and listen, it's never easy stepping in as a first-time head coach and being able to make a playoff run, you know. And the Eagles, I'm not saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they're not a team to be reckoned with. You know, we've talked about this before. Every game you have to come out and you have to perform. Otherwise, you're going to get embarrassed. And, you know, we've seen it week in and week out for my hometown Brownies. They've just been getting embarrassed week in and week out. But that's what happens. You know, they're losing to teams that they shouldn't be losing to because they're not coming out and doing what they have to do. So, you know, yeah, the Eagles don't have the best record, but they still clinched a playoff spot. And I know Dallas on paper is a lot better than the Eagles. But yeah, well, if I agree with you, I think Philly is definitely going to cover the spread at least, and maybe even take home an upset game. Bengals at the Browns. Speaking of my hometown Browns, here we go again. Week 18, not playing for anything. Surprise, surprise. And but I will tell you, I actually have Cleveland -6 in this game, and here's why. Here's why.
The line you got -6.
That was the line that I looked at, and that was just a couple of hours ago.
Okay.
What line did you have?
So I did this around noonish probably, and it was -3.
Okay, so that's a big jump. Well, you know what? Okay, so here's why that line just probably jumped up is because Joe Burrow's out. The Bengals officially announced Joe Burrow will not be playing in week 18. And on top of that, Joe Mixon just got added to the COVID reserve list. So he will be out for Sunday's game. Now, I know the Browns, well, thankfully, they're not going to have Baker Mayfield for this one. Case Keenum, we're not wasting that $7 million entirely. We're going to throw him in week 18 at the end of the season when the game doesn't matter. And so a big waste of contract there, but not entirely, as long as Stefanski got him in for 1 game, you know. No, I'm kidding. But I got Cleveland -6 for the fact that Burrow and Mixon are out. And if you're Cleveland, you're pretty much going to play everybody except for Chubb and Hunt. I mean, you got to imagine maybe Myles Garrett is going to be out as well, but they're going to have I would expect them to play all of their offensive linemen. I'd expect Keenum, you know, he's a veteran backup. I'd expect him to come in and be able to do some good things for this Browns team. I mean, you think back to when he was in Minnesota and he didn't do bad under that Stefanski regimen. Not at all. He took him to an NFC championship.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another reason why so many Browns fans this year were disappointed that Keenum, you know, didn't play for Mayfield is because the guy is a proven veteran. You know, it's not like you're throwing some clown show out there who doesn't know what he's doing and has never touched a pigskin in his life.
Yeah.
This guy's a proven veteran. So I'm going Cleveland -6. Who do you got?
Okay, so with my original line, the original line when I saw was Cincy -3. So I think I'm going to stick with Cincy and go Cincy +6 for the new adjusted line that we've just now seen, or that I've just now seen.
So why are you going Cincy? I'm curious, especially after Burrow and Mixon just got ruled out. What's making you stick with Cincy? Is it just because Cleveland's so bad, or you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's such a toss up there. I mean, you know, Cincinnati may not end up winning, but I don't think that they're going to get, you know, I don't think it's going to be by 7. You know, I think it'll probably be kept close. But yeah, that's, you know, Cleveland hasn't really proved anything all season. Cincinnati's got a few starters out at the moment, but, you know, I still believe that, you know, Cincinnati still has a chance to move up into the first seed, which, you know, if you're Cincinnati, you're probably going to want that. And for that to happen, they need to win, and a couple other teams have to lose, which we'll get into when we get into the playoff picture later.
Okay. All right. And and another coach of the year candidate with the Cincinnati Bengals right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a phenomenal job bringing that team. I mean, nobody expected them to win the division. I mean, think back to the beginning of the year and it was the Ravens and the Browns looking to win the division. I mean, it was a race between them, and now Cincinnati doing a phenomenal job taking home the AFC North in that tough Chiefs win last week. All right. So we got another different pick for each other. And Wolf, after a couple of bad weeks last week for us, we're going to need to turn it around here. I'm intrigued to see who's going to come out on top if we keep having these different matchups.
Yeah.
But next, we got the Packers at the Lions. I got Green Bay -4.
Yep, and I had, so my line was -2.5, but yes, I had Green Bay -2.5. So
you sticking with them at -4?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it at -4.
What's appealing to you in that game?
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Jordan Love will do, or if Aaron Rodgers does play.
I saw that he was I can't remember what show he was on, but he went on a radio show maybe earlier today or yesterday, and he said that he was planning on playing.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably what adjusted the line a little bit there. Yeah. No, I don't imagine that Green Bay will play around with this game at all, and just take care of business and get in, get out. They've already clinched the 1 seed, so maybe we'll get to see some Jordan Love action in the pocket. And I mean, he had a start earlier this season when Aaron Rodgers was out with COVID, and it played a close game with the Chiefs, and they didn't do much offensive production, but just for their defense to hold them, I believe it was 13-7. I think that game was.
Yeah, it was definitely a defensive game. I don't remember the final score exactly, but it was probably somewhere around there. Listen, if Rodgers starts, I don't think the Packers will have any problem taking care of the Detroit Lions. Exactly. Speaking how their season has gone up to this point. But this game was another one on the fence for me, just because the Lions always keep it close. Always. Yeah. We talked about this before as well, but I feel like they have more one possession losses than any other team, or perhaps maybe tied with the Browns at this point, because the Browns have a lot of one possession losses as well. But they do keep it close. It'll be a good game. And especially if Aaron Rodgers is not playing, it should be an even better game. But yeah, both teams not really playing for much. Like you said, though, that 1 seed's already locked up. So it'll be interesting to see how Green Bay comes out and performs. Next game, we got the Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Wolf, who do you got?
I got Minnesota -3.5.
Talk to me.
The way the Bears have been playing. I mean, the Bears did put up a large amount of offensive production compared to what the Bears have been putting up. 29 points last week against the Giants. But I'm just rolling with the Vikings this week. They've looked pretty solid, and Kirk Cousins has been playing well all season. Justin Jefferson, was he the second most receiving yards or most receptions, I believe, of a rookie, or the first 2 years of his career. So looking to see those two light up the stat sheet this weekend.
Yeah, that tandem has been, getting along great ever since Jefferson came into the league, and Cousins at this point is a proven veteran as well. I also have Minnesota -3.5. I just don't really believe in Nagy and that Bears organization. They've just been playing bad all season long. Justin Fields hasn't been playing good, and he's getting the start this Sunday. And again, the Bears are on the road too. So I think Minneapolis and Minnesota should be able to handle the incoming Bears, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. Next, the Washington football team at the New York Giants, and I have the football team -7.
I got the Giants +7, actually.
Okay. All right.
Not much to play for either of these teams, really, but other than bragging rights, being that neither of those two have a chance to make the playoffs at this point. And I mean, it's probably going to be the Giants head coach. A little job interview, almost kind of a little job evaluation. If he can come out here and get a win right here at the last end of the season, a little division win, it will maybe prove his record a little bit and sway the front office to keep him around. But we'll see what happens.
So another game where we disagree. Now I'm really interested to see how this our records are going to fare after the regular season is over. Next, Steelers at Ravens. And both teams have some wild scenarios to get into the playoffs, not 100% eliminated yet. But I actually took the underdog in this one. I took Pittsburgh plus 5.5. I just don't think that the way the Ravens have been playing now, I know they haven't had Lamar Jackson, and Huntley has actually been doing a nice job filling in that second role QB position. But yeah, I don't know. I think Big Ben wants to go out with a bang. You know, I don't think he wants this to be his last football game of his entire career. Well, we just had the last home game against the Browns, and you know, all the major networks were talking about that like there was no tomorrow. But listen, the guy is a Super Bowl winner, and he knows how to win games, as proven. He just saved Mike Tomlin from another losing season, and congratulations to Mike Tomlin, 15-year career, no losing seasons. Absolutely incredible. Boy, I wish the Browns could get a head coach like him to change that culture around. But I got Pittsburgh.
That's also what I picked as well. Pittsburgh plus 5.5. You know, Big Ben obviously is not finished with this season. You know, this may be his last season, and he's going to go out fighting, and he's a winner. And you know, Baltimore has not looked good either. You know, they've lost 5 in a row, but I'm taking Pittsburgh plus 5.5.
Also going to go ahead and take the under in that game as well, and as well as the Chiefs and the Broncos and the Bengals and the Browns, as those are all divisional games, and I like to take the unders in those divisional games. Next, we got Tennessee at Houston, the Texans. And this is another divisional game. I'll be taking the under, but I also have Tennessee minus 10. I'll tell you what, they need that 1 seed. Then they're clinging on to it right now. But, you know, Kansas City, you got to imagine that they're going to win that game. Maybe not by 10, but you got to imagine they're going to win that game. And so Tennessee needs to win. They absolutely have to win. I think they're going to come out, make a statement game. And, you know, the last time that I put money on the Texans, they completely let me down. And then the line was in similar fashion. It was a very large line, but they completely let me down. So I am going with Tennessee minus 10. Who do you got?
I also have Tennessee minus 10. Houston obviously hasn't proved anything all season. You know, Tennessee's rolling, and they're potentially could be getting their, you know, franchise running back.
He just came off the reserve list today.
Yeah. So I saw he was expected to be at practice one day this week. It'll be interesting to see him get back going, and, you know, he probably won't come into the playoffs maybe until, you know, you would probably have to assume like the AFC Championship around then, or maybe the game before.
So you don't think he'll be back for the first round? Well, if Tennessee gets that bye, though, then they won't have to use him.
Yeah, no, I think Tennessee's going to go out, try and win, get the first seed, get a bye, and then he'll probably come back that week. Or if you know, if he doesn't have to come back, and they can, you know, get by with a win without having to force him to play, he might come back the next week.
I'll tell you what, a healthy Derrick Henry is a very scary Derrick Henry. And you're right, Wolf. If Tennessee can win out, well, by win out, I mean win this last week of football, and you know, they do get that bye, that's going to be huge. That will be huge for them. And their defense has been playing absolutely stellar heading down the stretch, something we're not really accustomed to. But if their defense can keep it together, they're getting Henry back. And we all know how Tannehill runs with Henry. He's a mean green eating machine, if you will. And so
and Tannehill's a mean
so it'll be interesting.
handoff machine.
Yeah, That's a good one, Wolf. I like that one. A mean green handoff machine. Yeah, he is. Whenever Tannehill and Henry are back there, that's a good comparison. I like that one. Next on the list, Saints taking on the Falcons, and I had Atlanta plus 4.5 in this one, and here's why. Whenever these two teams face off at the end of the year, it's always a close game. And I think this is the week that the Falcons could upset the Saints. That's just me. That's just my take on it. But who do you got?
I put Atlanta plus 4 as well.
Okay.
We've seen the last few games that New Orleans has played have all been very low scoring, very close games. We saw the 9-0 win against Tampa Bay. And
well, you got to remember they haven't had an offense all year though.
No, I'd say not much of Atlanta's offense really either.
That's true. That is true.
I could definitely see this game being a 13-10 game at the end of it, and New Orleans has got to win this game to get into the playoffs. That's that's the bottom line.
Yeah. Well, they've had their struggles all season long with Winston. I mean, listen, I know the guy, he had a couple of solid weeks before he went down. And I know he's not really a proven superstar yet, but I guarantee you they'd have a lot more success than what they got back there right now. So we both got Atlanta plus 4.5. Jets at Bills. I got New York plus 10.
Okay, so that must have changed because I had so my line was 16.5.
Okay.
So I did take the Jets plus 16.5.
Sure. So are you sticking with them at plus 10?
No, I'm gonna. So Buffalo probably needs to win. Buffalo needs to win to get the 4 seed probably.
Well, they need to win the division, and I think they need. Do they need New England to lose, or do they just need to win?
No, they just need to win. They need to win to get into or to clinch the division. So if they lose, though, they'll drop down to the 5th seed, I believe.
Okay, so a difference in home field advantage then.
Correct. So
you're going with the Bills.
I'm going to go Bills minus 10. Yes.
Okay. All right, I can respect that. We'll see how that one plays out. Next, we got the Patriots, another important divisional game here, taking on Miami.
Yeah.
And I had New England minus 6.5. And boy, did we see how Tua fared against a good defense last week. Another good defense strolling in New England and Bill Belichick. And that's what really New England is known for, is their defense. And I think they're going to be able to shut Tua down. I said this last year. I thought Tua was overrated. Now it might come as, not a good take to some people, but I've always thought the guy has been a little bit on the overrated side of things. And I think New England's not going to have a problem shutting this team down.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. New England's been rolling. They're, a proven team in the NFL with Bill Belichick coaching them. And, the Patriots always end up playing their best football going into the playoffs. And the Super Bowl wins are just proof of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill Belly now going for his 7th. And, maybe who knows if New England takes home the crown, or we'll see if they'll end up playing Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. And that would be a historic matchup. Let me tell you,
that'd be the matchup that the NFL wrote.
Yeah. It's almost like it would be scripted as, we'll get into this a little bit later, but I kind of feel like this Alabama-Georgia game was kind of in that same matter, but we'll talk about that later in the show. Next, we got the Seahawks at the Cardinals, and I actually have Seattle plus 6.5. I don't like the way that the Cardinals have been playing heading down the stretch. I know they had Kyler Murray hurt for so long, and he's just starting to come back and get himself right after injury. But yeah, listen, I just don't think that they've been playing well heading down the stretch, and this is when you got to play your best football. And you take a look at what Russell Wilson did. Now, I know he didn't have, 500 yards, but he just threw for 4 touchdowns in his last game and put up 51 points. So, it's not like Russell Wilson is just going to lie down and die in the grass either. He's definitely going to want to put up a fight, and go, especially he's definitely going to want to ruin this Cardinals team, at least having them not have a chance or decreasing their morale, would you, heading into this playoff run?
Yeah, I also went with Seattle plus 6.5. I think, Russ is just, he's going to fight and scrap for every win he can. And Arizona obviously has not looked great. But yeah, the Seattle plus 6.5, it'll be interesting after a big offensive week from Seattle.
Panthers at Bucks. I got Tampa Bay -8.
As do I. Tampa Bay has been looking really well. Minus the fact that they have Godwin out and now Antonio Brown probably and Leonard Fournette. But
I don't think we'll be seeing Antonio Brown for a while.
Yeah, I don't imagine so. But yeah, Carolina hasn't really, they looked good the first 3 games, but aside from that, they haven't really shown much. And I think Tom Brady's gonna come out and say, hey, last week was a fluke against the Jets. The sheriff's back in town.
He is, we always make the memes about LeBron calling him Le Goat, and last week we called him Le Birthday for you. But I'll tell you what, Le Brady is, he's going to come out with a vengeance. And I know that they won that Jets game off a 33-yard touchdown pass from him last week. But, that's not the kind of win that they're looking to get, especially against that Jets team. I think they're going to come out, make a statement heading into the playoffs, and they're going to make a run for it. This is the end of Tom Brady's career. He's going to try and win as many rings as possible, and they're going after it. Enough said. Lastly, Chargers at Raiders. I have Las Vegas +3. I don't know why, but Las Vegas always seems to turn it up at the end of the year, or at least keep it close. And both teams fighting for that divisional or that wild card spot right now. I think I like Carr. I like how he delivers the ball throughout the air. I think he's another winning quarterback. And I know he's had his ups and downs throughout his career, but this is a home game for Las Vegas, and I think that they're going to come out on top. I got
the Chargers -3 actually.
Okay.
I feel like the Chargers want to get in the playoff. They got to win to get in, and actually the Raiders don't have to win to get in. Truthfully, the Steelers have to lose for them to get in, and the Colts have to lose for them to get in, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, but you never like putting that on. That's like what the Browns did, and look what happened to them. You got to control your own destiny. Mm-hmm. You have to control your. So I get what you're saying with the Steelers, and just having other teams lose out, but I don't think that they're going to come into this game thinking, oh, okay, well, we just need two bad teams to lose, or 2 teams that should lose to lose, and then we're just going to take it easy. I think they're going to come out with some firepower this game.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and speaking of Indianapolis, we forgot their game this week, which could shake some things up if the Colts do lose. Jacksonville is home versus the Colts on Sunday. And the line I got was 15.5, Indy minus 15.5.
Yeah, you are right. I did miss that one. Apologies. And I got Indy minus 15.5. Mm-hmm. Listen, I just don't think they're going to risk any kind of scenario where they would lose to the Jaguars, especially after they fired Urban Meyer. They just have a brand new interim head coach in there for right now. And they've been putrid all season long, so it's not like the Jags have really put up a fight with any team. And I just got to go. I got to go with Indy minus 15.5.
Yeah.
That's especially coming off a tough loss in their last week as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I got Indy minus 15.5. They've been rolling, playing really good football. Carson Wentz looks really good. That defense is stellar. Darius Leonard has just been a baller all season.
Right.
He just a little tidbit here. He's got 12 takeaways by himself just this season, and the Jaguars as a team only have 7. So
that is, you sent me that off camera, and I looked at that stat, and all I could think was, wow, that's pretty freaking impressive. And just kudos to Darius Leonard. And I know that they didn't have him last week, which was probably part of the reason why they lost. And having him back is going to be essential to this Colts defense. And the thing I like about the Colts is they can mix it up. They don't rely on one single part of their game week in and week out. Sometimes their defense steps up for them. Sometimes Carson Wentz steps up for them. Sometimes Jonathan Taylor steps up for them. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of ability to kind of play around and feel the game out before they really have to attack. And so I think we both got Indy minus 15.5. I think they're going to have no problem taking care of this Jacksonville team. I know it's on the road, but Wolf, talk to me about these tiebreakers, because you mentioned the tiebreakers. So these crazy scenarios that we got going on, what needs to happen for this Jacksonville team?
Yeah, so we've got some weird seeding. No seeds have been currently locked up in the AFC. We've got the Titans, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, and Patriots all have clinched their playoff berth. And the Titans, Chiefs, and Bengals have clinched their division, so they will obviously be higher seeded than the wild cards, obviously. But sure. So for the Titans to get the first seed in the AFC, they'll need the Chiefs to lose, the Bengals to lose, and then either the Patriots to lose or the Bills to win. So regardless,
so it sounds like a wild chicken race.
Yeah. So the Chiefs got to lose, the Bengals got to lose, and then either a Patriot loss or Bills win will get Titans the first seed in the AFC. Okay. And for the Chiefs, for them to get the first seed, they have to win, and then the Titans have to lose for them to step into the first seed. And they're
they need a Titans loss. They absolutely need one
to get that bye. Yes.
And that is why I think Tennessee will have no problem taking care of Jacksonville. They know what's on the line here, and they're not going to lay down. Again, they have so many great weapons, and I know it's a big spread, but Jacksonville's just awful. They're awful.
Tennessee's playing Houston.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about Indianapolis. I do think that Tennessee will also have no problem taking care of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our spreads for the week. And Wolf, let's go ahead and jump over into some college football.
Yeah, sounds good.
Championship game. And you know what? When I first took a look at this game, Wolf, I was really surprised to see that Georgia was favored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so.
So talk to me. Who do you got in this game? Who are you liking?
So I went with the spread was Georgia -3. I took Bama, and at Bama +3. I just think that this Bama team is, just been playing really, really good football, and they just take care of what they got to take care of. And like we said with the Colts, they've just got so many offensive weapons, and their defense can step up if they have to. Bryce Young can throw the ball if he has to. And,
I don't agree with that.
Well, okay. And I also think that, they can run the ball when they have to. Against Cincy, what's his name? Robinson Jr., I believe is the running back. Robinson?
Brian Robinson?
Yeah, Brian Robinson. Jr. He rushed for 200+ yards in that game. And, I just think that the receiving core and just the talent that offense has is unstoppable.
I disagree wholeheartedly. And maybe this is just because I don't want to see Alabama win another national title. Listen to this, Wolf. They're going for their 6th national title. This is their 6th national title appearance in the last 7 years.
Okay.
They've missed the national title one time. And for the SEC, this is their 3rd straight national title guaranteed. Now, let me tell you about why I like Georgia. For one, their defense. I mean, listen, you come in and you shut down the number 2 team and you hold them to 3 points and take away the game in the first half, or excuse me, the number 2 team in Michigan. You shut them down. And I know Michigan didn't have an extremely overpowered offense. And I do think that Alabama's offense is definitely better than Michigan's offense was. But their defense has been winning them games all year long. aside from the SEC championship. That's
Mm-hmm.
the only game. That is the only game where they let this Georgia team down. And I'll tell you what, Wolf, they only gave up 10 TDs in the regular season. That's less than one a game.
Yeah, that's
less than one a game. They held every single regular season opponent to under 17 points, 17 points or less. So yeah, I get that, Bryce Young and Brian Robinson Jr., they're great players. No doubt about it. And they do have the potential to explode. But I just believe in this Georgia defense. Defense wins championships, as the old saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
And, and that's nothing to take away against Stetson Bennett either, because he has been a great, great game manager. Now, I will say, if Georgia wants to win this game, he's going to have to take care of the football. You think back to that SEC championship again.
Mm-hmm.
He had 2 costly turnovers, and it was really the difference maker. It was really the difference maker. But the way that Georgia's able to control the football, the way that they're able to handle the game, I told you this last week, they look like an NFL team. They really do. Just their play style, typically in college, you have the shotgun, the spread formation. Teams are putting up 40, 50 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Georgia. But their defense is insane. Best in the country. And it's something that I overlooked in that Michigan game because I thought Michigan's defense was going to be able to stop Georgia's offense. That didn't happen either. But I didn't really take into account how good Georgia's defense was. They are ridiculous. And, again, Georgia just controls the ball so well. I think if they are able to limit the turnovers, they're going to have no problem winning this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And look at Bryce Young. I mean, look at Bryce Young. He was a game manager last week. I know they took home, the game in an easy fashion against Cincinnati, but he only threw for 180 yards. It's not like he lit up the scoreboard. So if you can protect against the pass, I think Georgia's run defense is going to have, it's going to be tough stopping Brian Robinson, but it's not going to be impossible. And I think with the defense Georgia has, they're going to be able to do it. And I think if you're able to stop Bryce Young in the air, no problem.
Yeah. I think it's really going to come down to who's going to convert on third down and who's going to get the most takeaways. So the turnover battle and converting on third down. In the SEC championship, Georgia was held to 3 of 12 on third down.
Yeah.
That's 25%. And you're not going to win any games playing that. Only converting 25% of your third downs. So, it's definitely going to be, I hope it's a grudge match and I hope it's a good title game like we've seen previously. And it'll be an interesting game to see. And, as much as I do not like, for Bama to keep on winning and winning and winning, it would be nice to see Georgia win, but I just don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I can definitely respect the different opinion. I'm going with Georgia. You got Bama. We'll see who comes out on top. We're only a few days away at this point. Like you said, it should be a good game. I think, both of these teams are going to be able to keep it close. It's not going to be a blowout like we had in the semifinals. But Wolf, do you think we talked a little bit about this before, about what the NCAA has to do to have better recruiting for these other schools to be able to compete?
Yeah.
Do you think these games do they do it for the ratings? Do you think that there is any, not foul play, but do you think that the NCAA sets these games up for this to happen? Because like we just said, this is the SEC's 3rd straight title win, no matter who wins.
Yeah. It's definitely, I don't believe it's set up. But I do think that, when you have a conference that's kind of, overloaded, you could say. You think the SEC versus the ACC in football. You've got probably 4 teams in the SEC that'll be top 25 every year.
Yeah.
And you've got maybe 1, maybe 2 in the ACC that'll be top 25.
Yeah, that's a good point. You look at the Big Ten too.
Mm-hmm.
We only got Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah, and Michigan hasn't been there in a while. Well, they've
I
been
should
top
say,
25. Let's say they haven't been to the
not
playoffs.
top 25, but a team that's able to really compete with these top tier teams. I mean, you think of Iowa, they're always in the top 15, but they're never able to make it up to, the top 5.
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes with strength of schedule really doesn't help when these ACC teams and Big Ten and the Pac-12 are playing teams that aren't good. But when you go out in the SEC and you got to play Florida, you got to play Tennessee, you got to play you got to play Auburn. These are teams that have a rooted history in football, and they win games. The SEC wins games, and I think it's just going to be very difficult unless the NCAA realigns some conferences. I think it's going to be very difficult for us to see, different teams every year.
Now, if you talked about strength of schedule, and I need to ask you this, do you think if Ohio State were to play, say, 4 or 5 top 25 teams throughout the year, do you think that would better prepare them to be able to beat an Alabama or even Michigan, I guess, for this year, you could say, because they were the ones that made it to the playoffs? If they were to play, say, an Ole Miss or an Alabama or I guess Florida wasn't that good this year, but typically they are pretty good. So I'll leave them in that conversation as well. Or Florida, still SEC. Do you think that would make them better, or do you think it would just make them worse because these people are it's the same recruiting process?
I mean, I think definitely it definitely helps when Bama and Georgia play each other probably once or twice a year. Every year you get to know. I mean, there's probably not a single caveat of Kirby Smart's offense that Nick Saban doesn't know about, because they played so many games over so many years. There's only so much more that Kirby Smart can implement into his offense. It's just going to be who's got the better players at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, Smart was he was under the former regime of Saban.
Yeah. So even more, Saban's taught him a lot of what he knows.
Yeah. So do you think it's coaching?
I think it's coaching. I don't think it's coaching. I think it's just the fact that, Bama goes out every week and has to play a top tier team in the SEC. And if they go down, it will, you saw this year, they lose 2 games, right? This year?
Just the one. They lost to A&M, but they almost lost to Florida. They narrowly escaped that Florida comeback because Florida exploded in that second half. I think they beat them 31-28.
Okay. Yeah. So, you think when you have to go out every week and, you can't lose, it's pretty difficult for a team that, can go out there and score 30 points in the first half and kind of just kick their feet back.
But it's not like Ohio State can just go out there and lose.
No, it's not. But these games are, I think the level of competition that Alabama is playing week in and week out over a 13-week season, 14-week season, is just much more prestigious than what an Ohio State and a Cincinnati and a Michigan are playing every week for the entire season.
So, just to clarify, are you saying that because these SEC teams are playing other SEC teams, and because of the level of competition, it prepares them better throughout the entire season to be able to come out and dominate in these playoffs?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's
okay. I can get behind that.
It's tried and true. If you go to Bama, you're gonna see a SEC championship game. You're gonna see a national title game, and if you're good enough and you're one of those 22 guys or more, 28, 30 guys that play on the field, you're probably going to make it to the NFL or be on a team. It's
good chance.
Good chance. Nick Saban has the most first round draft picks of any other coach in the college. It's tried and true.
Yeah. It sucks because I hate Alabama being so good, winning every single year. But yeah, credit to Nick Saban, man. Like you said, more number one draft picks than any other college head coach, and you can't look past it. You can't look past it.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears again here, Wolf. Last topic of the show today. Make it a quick one. NBA. A lot of good stuff. And let's just go ahead and start off with the Cavs real quick. I got this Cavs beanie on. I got it at the game yesterday, the old school.
Oh, yeah.
And for you guys seeing that on video on the TikToks and YouTube, there you go. But listen, I was at that Cavs game last night, and I got to say, I know the Cavs lost, and they've lost the last 5 out of 6, maybe, or 6 out of 7. They haven't been playing good basketball the last week. But listen, ever since Rubio went down, it has been a killer to this Cavs team. And, I'm really excited for Rajon Rondo to come in. What do you think? Do you think this guy is going to be able to incorporate his veteranship and kind of rally the troops together, kind of calm the locker room down? Because this team has a lot of talent. I mean, you look at Evan Mobley, you look at Jared Allen, you look at Darius Garland, heck, even Kevin Love. He's almost averaging 16 off the bench.
Yeah.
And so he has been a great role player for this Cavs team this year. And a happy Kevin Love is a fantastic Kevin Love. And kudos to him for sticking it through. But Wolf, Rajon Rondo, he's coming in to this Cavs unit, and I think he'll be playing next game. He was at the Cleveland game when they were playing Memphis last night. Do you think he's going to be able to make an impact?
I think he definitely will make an impact, be that point guard that the Cavs need to, get their offense going and feed the ball to those guards and those big guys, getting the offense rolling. It's definitely something to have a good point guard. And when you don't have a good point guard, it is very easy to tell. And
yeah, absolutely.
With all the years and experience that Rondo does have, I believe that he will come in, and I think he will make an impact, and it will be for the better. Ricky Rubio wasn't. I mean, truthfully, he's a average or below average up until this year.
Yeah. That's fair.
It doesn't even he doesn't have to do anything crazy. He play defense, score a few buckets, and I think that Rondo will fit into that role pretty nicely.
Yeah, Rajon, he's always been a great passer. His ball handling skills are incredible. I think he's going to be able to make an impact on this team. I wanted to get your take on it as well. And just to kind of emphasize the Cavs' struggles at guard, Lamar Stevens last night was the starting shooting guard. You want to know his line? 25 minutes, 0 of 2 from the field with a stellar 1 point. 1 point. He made 1 free throw. He split a pair of free throws and 2 turnovers. And then Brandon Goodwin, the backup guard who came in as a sub last night, 18 minutes, 1 of 5 from the field, 2 points, 2 turnovers. So the Cavs are desperate. They're desperate to get Rondo in that uniform, get him suited up. I hope he can turn things around because, again, once Rubio went down, everything just went downhill for the Cavs. I really hope they can turn it around. It's such a fun team to watch. Nobody runs that pick and roll better than Garland and Allen. I don't care what anybody says. And it reminds me of CP3 and Blake Griffin. Nobody runs that pick and roll better than Darius Garland and Jared Allen.
Yeah, no.
What do you got in the NBA, Wolf? Talk to me. What do you got?
So I've got a couple things. Starting it off, Kyrie Irving is going to be active tonight for the Pacers game at the Pacers. Kyrie Irving hasn't been a part of the team all year because of his he's unvaccinated, and so what I read was the Nets had kind of been running through some issues, with COVID and having to sign these 10-day contracts. And, Steve Nash says, what's the difference between signing a 10-day contract? Why can't Kyrie Irving just come play for all the away games? Since he can't play in any of the home games in New York City due to his vaccination status. And so it'll be interesting to see. I read some reports that said he wasn't going to be starting, or will most likely not be starting, but will play a chunk of the game. So I expect him to get
Interesting that he's not starting.
15 to 25 minutes out there on the court, probably. I don't think that, Steve Nash is ready to get him out there and play 30 plus minutes yet, but it'll be interesting to see if he can, bring some life back to himself, really. I mean, he's a fun player to watch, and it's definitely been a little bit of a crazy few years since he left Cleveland.
All I got to say is Kyrie wins yet again. Yeah. At the beginning of the season, he wasn't allowed to play because of his vaccination status. And look what happens. Look what happens. The NBA just goes to show you it's a business. It is a 100% a business. They don't care about player safety. They don't care about players' health. They can say they do all they want, but obviously if it was really that big of a concern to him, he still wouldn't be out on the court.
Yeah, we would have gotten vaccinated, one of the two.
yeah, exactly. So all I got to say for that one is Kyrie wins again. I don't like Kyrie anymore. Just the way, he left Cleveland.
Yeah, it was weird. He left Cleveland.
It was weird.
He wanted to be the number one, and then he was the number one in Boston, and then he left there. I'm not sure why, but it seemed like he was the number one there, and then he got irritated with the front office there and left there too. So he's kind of had some weird thoughts. I mean, he's kind of out there as it is. He's one of those flat earthers,
right? Yeah, that one exactly. As soon as you said he's kind of out there, that exactly came to my mind. But yeah, he is a little out there. Listen, the guy's talent on the NBA court is undeniable. He's going to be a stellar player for this Nets, whether he's a starter or coming off the bench. But Wolf, closing off the show, and I know you were really excited to talk about this. You brought this up to me. Talk to me about Dirk.
Yeah, big night for Dirk Nowitzki tonight. His jersey will be retired and put up in the Mavs arena or stadium, whatever you want to call it. Definitely a great career from one of the only two players to stick with the same team for 20 years.
Yeah, incredible. You talk about team loyalty.
Yeah, and the only other person was the late great Kobe Bryant. That's good company to be with.
Quite the opposite of who we were just talking about, Kyrie Irving and team loyalty.
Yeah, exactly.
But Dirk, he's had a great career. And yeah, he's like you said, his number's getting retired in the rafters. And listen, the guy's an NBA champion. He's going to go down in the Hall of Fame as one of the all-time greats. And he was really one of the first big men to be able to consistently shoot the three ball.
Yeah, and shoot at all, really. Even mid-range, anything.
Sure.
He definitely had he was probably the start of this new wave of the big men. We see nowadays, you don't see any big men like Shaq and Charles Barkley, those guys that work post moves. Really, if you're a 7-footer and you can't shoot threes, you're no use to probably, I'd say, 60% of the NBA.
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you anymore. And just again, a phenomenal career for him. Congratulations to him. I've always loved Dirk. He's been a great player, and he seems to have a great attitude off the court as well. And so just a big congratulations goes out to him.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to say, which just kind of proves his loyalty. In 2014, he was offered a $92 million contract with the Lakers and another $92 million contract by the Rockets. And instead of that, he signed a 3-year deal for $25 million to stay with the Mavs. So
what a guy.
You don't see any of that nowadays.
Oh no, not a chance. And I think that's what attracts so many people to him, is because we just talk about the team loyalty. Yeah. I don't know what it is about Dallas. Maybe Texas, it's a big state and he's a big guy, so maybe there's a connection there. I don't know, man, but listen, you can't deny the kind of player that he is on and off the court. It's truly incredible, and it's something we don't see anymore in today's game. Yeah,
exactly. It's a great attribute to have.
But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up season 3, episode number 2 of the Chandler and the Wolf podcast series. I want to thank you guys all so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to today's episode. Wolfie, before we close off, do you want to say anything else for the fans and listeners out there?
Yeah, keep reaching out or watching our videos. You know, we've got our social medias up, at Chandler and Wolf on Twitter, and on TikTok now we are at Chandler and the Wolf. So
very good.
Give those a follow, and keep yourself up to date with all the sports news and everything that we've got going on.
TikTok and YouTube just came out. Well, technically the YouTube channel is not officially launched, but that'll be coming out tonight as well. And like Wolfie said, just keep supporting us. We appreciate everything you guys have done up to this point. We have a blast making these. We're going to keep making them throughout the year. And I can't wait to keep putting out quality content for you guys. But we are signing off from the CLE Cleveland of Ohio and the Outer Banks, North Carolina. My name's Kyle Chandler, joined alongside Wolfie Schultz, co-commentator and good friend. We'll see you next time here on Chandler and the Wolf.